The natural progression from having learned about config maps is to start talking about secrets, because secrets and config maps are very similar. They both take information and store it inside of themselves rather than storing it inside of the container. The difference is that secrets are, well, secrets. They are things like passwords, tokens, keys, like generally sensitive information. Now, secrets are created through an almost identical process to config maps, so there's a little to learn here, but there are certain warnings that I do want to give you about using secrets. Secrets on their own are not encrypted. They're stored in the API server inside of etcd, right? And anybody who has API access who can see that secret, like inside of your cluster, they'd need kube control to do it, but they'd be able to see it or change it or anything like that. Kubernetes does require you to use your own encryption solution, which is not something that we're going to talk about. There's so many different ways to do it out there, but just so you know, secrets do not encrypt right out of the box. The other thing to know about secrets is that there are many different kinds. What we're seeing here on this table is that there's a couple that you can use for specific circumstances like SSH authentication, or if maybe it's like a username password situation with basic auth. I'm going to be using that in a demonstration here in just a moment. These are all different kinds. The generic type of secret is one that's just opaque. It's meant to like be, hey, this is just some random like cert file or something, and we don't want people to be able to see what's inside of it. All right, so here's a manifest for a change of how to create a secret. And secrets are namespaced, just like config maps and pods are. So make sure that your secrets are in the same namespaces as the pods that want to use them. Same is true for config maps. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to encrypt a secret password. Alta 3 is the value of the key password. And the type of secret that I'm using is basic auth. Now, you could, like we were doing with the config map earlier, use a kube control create command to do this. There's often, imperative ways of doing that. You would just have to spell out what type of secret is it, and then, hey, we are putting in the environment, well, the call it environment variable, put the keyword value from literal. So from literal is something you can use also when you're making config maps. Just makes it easy to put key value pairs inside of objects. But we won't be doing that. Let's just go ahead and create this secret from this manifest. And let's make sure that it's saved, otherwise that won't work. All right, there we go. So secrets can be listed out just like anything else that we make. But if I were to describe what is inside of that secret, my SQL secret, notice that it tells us that, hey, there's a key password, but it doesn't show us what the value is. Remember, this is not secure. I absolutely could crawl inside of this particular object and see what that password value is. All right. So you need further encryption for this to work, but we can go ahead and take this to the next step. All right, what we're about to do is we are about to read in the contents of that secret so that it can be used inside of this MySQL database that we're putting together inside of this container. And everything you're about to see here could also be used with a config map. So again, secrets, config maps, very interchangeable in how you can do things. One of the keywords you can set for a container is env, environment variables. So if there was an environment variable called MySQL root password, and there is, the MySQL image has that environment variable already defined inside of it, you could just go ahead and say that the value is Alta 3. Yeah, that'd be dumb. Yeah, let's just put our passwords right in plain text inside of our manifest, said nobody ever. My God, all the security people just had a stroke. No, instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say that, hey, the value of that environment variable is going to be taken from a secret a secret key that is referred to by the following name. Now, do you remember what the name of our secret was? Cube control gets secrets. Yeah, it was called MySQL secret. So that's that right there. And inside of that secret, remember, we want Alta 3 to be the value for that variable, right? So inside of this secret right here, we are looking for what key points to that value. Password, right? So what I'm going to have to do down here on the left side is that I'm going to say that the key we're looking for is literally called password inside of that secret. All right, so with all that in place, and if I were to save this and go ahead and create my pod at this point, pod's created. It might take a second to get stood up. Whoop, cube control get pods. All right, -W stands for wait. It means just give me updating output like as changes are made. We'll continue once this is up. Oh, man, underestimated that. Okay, so it is up and running now, which goes to show containers don't always spin up instantaneously. We're going to do a kube control exec inside of this container. Let's test whether or not this worked. I'm just going to, for the sake of demonstration, use the echo command on that environment variable, the one that we set right here, which just goes to show secrets ain't encrypted. You'll notice that right there, you can see that that's the password that we set inside of our secret. So it definitely does work. Just make sure you got your ducks in a row when it comes to actually setting up encryption inside of your setup. And for the exam, don't worry about encryption. That's not something that you'll be asked to set up.